Are you a manual therapist ready to expand your clinical reach and deepen your effectiveness? Upledger Craniosacral Therapy addresses deep restrictions, supports neurological and fascial systems, and enhances whole body function by working with the body's natural healing processes. For over 40 years, Upledger Institute International has led the field of craniosacral therapy, offering an approach that integrates seamlessly into any manual therapy practice and supports common to complex and chronic conditions. Find a class near you at upledger.com/courses or call 800-233-5880 extension 2 and begin your craniosacral therapy training for as little as $100 a month. At Heights Retreats, massage therapists build stable and meaningful careers rooted in wellness and care. A place where therapists are dedicated to delivering exceptional care to the guests, not to filling their schedule. Heights Retreats care deeply about their therapists, our profession, and wellness itself. Grow with Heights as they evolve into a wellness-driven future. Visit heightswellnessretreat.com for more information.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the ABMP podcast, a podcast where we speak with the massage and bodywork profession. I'm Rachelle Clauson.
And I'm Nicole Trombley. Rachelle and I are longtime massage therapists, and we write the Anatomy for Touch column for Massage and Bodywork magazine.
When we aren't writing or massaging, we are busy studying in the dissection lab and teaching. We are the co-directors of AnatomySCAPES, a continuing education company for hands-on professionals.
We are easing into 2026, full speed ahead. We'll be here on the ABMP podcast a bit more this year. We've got exciting conversations planned, including interviews with some of our favorite fascia researchers. So stay tuned.
And early bird registration is open until April 15th with payment plans available for our Journey into the Matrix workshop and Dissection Lab Intensive, both of which are coming this fall. The Dissection Lab Intensive is already almost fully booked, and Matrix is well on its way. So if this is your year to get to the lab with us, start planning your trip now. And if you live in Minnesota, this coming March 6th and 7th, we are the keynote speakers for the Massage Therapy Symposium at Northwestern Health Sciences University. We will be teaching 2 workshops on all things fascia, specifically for the IT band and thoracolumbar fascia. Registration is open if you'd like to join us there.
But next week, we're heading back to Italy. In fact, by the time this episode drops, we'll already be back in Padua, visiting the birthplace of modern anatomy at the University of Padua, where great anatomists like Vesalius taught. We'll also be visiting the oldest anatomical theater in the world, where dissections took place hundreds of years ago. And so much of the current fascia research is being done right there in Padua with Carlos Stecco's research team.
I'm so excited. I can hardly stand it. But as we are getting ready to fly over the giant ocean to Italy, we are thinking a lot about water. Water in the body, water and massage. It's not a new thought, really.
True. Massage therapists care a lot about hydration. How many little paper cups, or those little baby bottles of water, do we hand out each year, encouraging our clients to stay hydrated and drink extra water after their massage? We know that water is a critical part of the human body and that we feel better, we move better when we tend to our H2O.
Well, it turns out that that little paper cup is only one way that massage therapists are helping their clients hydrate their tissues. Today, we're talking about water and the human body, where it actually lives, and it's not just in the blood and lymph, and the special role it plays in the fascial system, why it matters for the work we do.
We'll explore fascia and hydration and discover that hydration isn't just about drinking water. It's about how water is organized in the extracellular matrix.
In our last episode, we talked about collagen, the fibers in the fascia story. Nicole, you said you were feeling a little dehydrated after all that fiber talk. So today, we're going to take a look at the liquid part. So go refill that water bottle or pour yourself a cup of tea and let's dive into water. Let's talk about H2O.
Water is one of the most important molecules on the planet. Life depends on water. And so much of our physiology as humans is about managing water and keeping it in the right places. Our physiological reactions and processes are so dependent on water.
And for us as humans, water makes up roughly 50 to 60% of our body mass. That changes, of course, as we age. Babies are born with about 75% water. Those plump little juicy grapes of babies. Well, it quickly drops. Believe it or not, by age 1, it's down to just 65%. And by the time we are mature seniors, well, we've dried out to maybe only 45% composition. We go from grapes to raisins.
But where is all that water? Is it just sloshing around inside of us?
This is a great question. And it is true. H2O is everywhere in the body, but different tissues have different water content. Here are some estimates, which of course vary a lot depending on your age, body composition, muscle, adipose, sex, all of those things. But in general, a huge amount of water is in our lungs, which you wouldn't really consider unless you've seen lungs in the dissection lab with us. You know how soft that tissue is. 83% water in our lungs. Brain, heart, kidneys have a lot too, somewhere between 73 and 80% water. And the muscles, which actually surprises me, I don't know why, 79% water estimate.
Oh, that's so interesting. Skin, I'm sure this varies by age, is 64% water. And this one I find really interesting. Bones, 31% water.
Amazing.
Whereas teeth, which are not actual bones, only 8 to 10% water.
Fair enough. And of course, blood and lymph contain a lot of water, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. Here's something really interesting about tendons. Would you think that tendons are high or low in water content?
I mean, that's a whole lot of collagen, right?
Would you believe that tendons are up to 2/3 water? So think about that for a minute, listener. As you are standing, walking, sitting, wherever you are, if you have access to your Achilles tendon, go ahead and reach down and squeeze it a little bit. It's a pretty thick tendon on the body that's easy to feel just above our heel. But if you think about 2/3 of that tendon proper is water, makes me think of when after you've had maybe fried chicken and then you don't do the dishes until the next day. And if you've ever looked at how much the more collagenous, tendinous parts of the chicken leg have shriveled, that's because it's mostly water. 2/3 water means that your Achilles tendon's diameter, if it dried out, would be really small.
That's so interesting. Okay, let's drill this down a little bit. Where in all of these tissues do we find all that water? Well, most of the water in our bodies is inside our cells, about 2/3 of our water. Water is so essential for the chemical and metabolic reactions that keep our physiology chugging along. That water content inside the cell is tightly regulated. Every cell is wrapped in a double layer of water-resistant fats to keep that water in and keep other water out.
But that means that 1/3 of our body's water is outside the cells, the extracellular water, if you will.
That's right. Extracellular water plays important roles in our immune system, transportation of nutrients, removal of waste, communication, and it serves as a reservoir for electrolytes, keeping us in homeostasis.
The extracellular water also plays a mechanical role, providing lubrication where needed and helping keep tissues plump, creating cushioning. Some of the more obvious examples of where we find water outside of the cells would be the blood, the plasma, lymph, but also in specialized fluids like cerebral spinal fluid, digestive fluids, peritoneal fluid in our abdominal cavity, serosal fluid surrounding our lungs, and even the synovial fluid in our joints.
There's also the ground substance, which is another major reservoir of the water in our body.
But what is ground substance? You may have heard this term, but it's not so intuitive to really understand what it is by its name. What does it have to do with the ground, Nicole?
Right. Ground substance is a gel-like matrix that we find throughout the body, particularly in our connective tissues, like the skin's dermis, our fascia, tendons, ligaments. The ground part is kind of an awkward translation from the original German. It might have better been translated to fundamental or foundational.
Oh, okay. That's actually making a lot more sense.
It was meant to describe the foundational substance in which the fibers and cells are embedded. The ground substance is holding a massive reservoir of the body's water. If a person has, say, 11 gallons of water total in their whole body, 3 gallons of that is going to be in the ground substance in the extracellular matrix. That's 3 times more than there is in the blood, which has maybe not even a full gallon of water in it. We are juicy. And that is really significant for our work as body workers.
So let's zoom in on this ground substance, and in particular, the molecule that gives all that water its superpower, hyaluronin.
Let's take a short break to hear a word from our sponsors. Elevate your bodywork career with Anatomy Train's Structural Integration Certification, ATSI. Discover how to map the pattern and shape the change through inspiring lectures, hands-on body reading, and practical techniques you can use in your practice right away. Join us for ATSI Maine 2026 to 2027, where Tom Myers will personally kick off this transformative professional training. Learn more at anatomytrains.com/ATSI. Physical and emotional burnout affect most massage therapists, and many leave the field within a decade. Created by Fernando Rojas, Massage Hall of Famer and Master Somatic Therapist and Educator, Somatic Mindfulness bridges somatics and bodywork, teaching self-care as a professional skill. It makes the therapist's well-being the method, not just part of the formula. By prioritizing resilience, therapists create the conditions for healing for both client and practitioner and renew their insight and clarity of purpose. Visit somaticmindfulness.co to learn more. Let's get back to our conversation.
Ground substance is water plus something called glycosaminoglycans and proteoglycans. Glycosaminoglycans is commonly just called GAGs, which is a lot easier to remember. And the most prevalent GAG is hyaluronin. Hyaluronin is in the news. It's in your skincare products. I've even seen it in shampoo. Hyaluronin is everywhere, including now being used even as injectables, not just for your face, but even for your knee, for osteoarthritis. But what is hyaluronin exactly?
Well, it's a big ol' macromolecule. And a macromolecule is really just what it sounds like, a really, really, really big molecule. And it binds water. And together, water and hyaluronin make a viscous gel. So I like to think of it this way. If you've ever soaked chia seeds, maybe make a little chia seed pudding, and you watch them turn into a gel, it's really similar to how hyaluronin works. Like hyaluronin, chia has sugars and carbohydrates that bind water and together create a gel. Chia can bind up to 12 times its weight in water. Hyaluronin can do the same thing, but even more powerfully. So get this, hyaluronin can bind up to 1,000 times its weight in water. So if chia seeds can transform a glass of water into gel, imagine what hyaluronin is doing throughout our full body's connective tissue.
Okay, so where do we find HA in the body?
It's a matrix molecule. Most importantly, it's in between our tissues, in our fascia, particularly in loose connective tissue.
So let's talk about what hyaluronin does for our tissues when it's got a hold of all of that water. Because we move and ambulate, everything inside our bodies has to be able to move. Tendons need to glide as they move our bones. Nerves need to glide as they traverse through multiple tissues and travel along long distances. Muscles have to glide over one another every single time they contract. Hyaluronin provides the lubrication to reduce friction between all these tissues so we don't spontaneously combust from just taking a walk around the block or while we're just folding our laundry. All of our tissues are sort of like fabrics, but none more so than fascia. The fascia that covers our muscles like membranous skins and the larger sheets of fascia that contain groups of muscles. These fabrics not only have threads of collagen that make them kind of like a fabric, but they also have hyaluronin between the threads. So how supple or adaptable the tissue is has to do with how well those threads are able to move too, and how much water there is mixed with that hyaluronin. Think of your favorite jeans and then what they feel like after you spill ice cream on them that has dried. The fabric can feel stiff because the fibers within the fabric can't move.
Okay, what about stretch? Does hyaluronin affect how much things stretch?
Yes, but not in the way that you might think. This glide that's within the fabric can also give you the illusion that the fabric is stretchy even when the fibers themselves are not. It's in the weave. The arrangement of the fiber and the fibers gliding against each other can allow the fabric to adapt its shape, which gives it a kind of stretchy quality. When all is going well, hyaluronin binds water and creates the perfect gel for our tissues. Things slide, nutrients are diffused, immune cells can migrate, but the viscosity of that gel is what matters. Viscosity. Talk to me about viscosity.
Well, viscosity is a liquid's resistance to flow. And the viscosity of the hyaluronin gels in our loose connective tissue impact how well our tissues can slide and glide. To better understand that, it's helpful to think about honey, another viscous fluid made of sugars and water. Now, if you warm that honey, it flows more smoothly. Its viscosity has decreased, but put it in the fridge and it becomes harder to pour. It's more viscous. Well, hyaluronin's viscosity can change too. We rely on hyaluronin to move our bodies. So stand up on tiptoe and your gastroc going to glide over your soleus because of the slippery surface created by the hyaluronin-rich loose connective tissue. Now, imagine that hyaluronin becomes more viscous, like that jar of honey we just put in the fridge, thick and sticky. Now, standing on tiptoe becomes more difficult. The layers don't glide as easily. But warm up that jar of honey, the viscosity decreases, it flows smoothly again, and the sliding becomes easier.
So this really begs the question, what changes hyaluronin's viscosity? Hyaluronin is sensitive to what's happening around it. That idealized relationship with water can easily be interfered with based on temperature, pH, mechanical stress,
and concentration of hyaluronin.
Wait, what? So just having more hyaluronin doesn't help things glide?
Exactly. It's kind of counterintuitive, but when the body spits out more and more hyaluronin, those hyaluronin molecules stick to each other instead of water, and we get back to a sticky situation. Scientists actually call this fascial densification. As massage therapists, we know that fascia is involved in our clients' pain and movement problems, but we've struggled to explain exactly where in the fascia the problem is and what has actually changed. Is it tight? Is it stuck? Is it adhered? Is it scar tissue? Densification gives us a more specific answer. It's a change in the water-filled, hyaluronin-rich loose connective tissue that we were talking about. The lubricating loose connective tissue that lets our nerves glide, our muscles slide over each other so that we can move.
Densification is just one type of possible alteration to our fascia. It's different from fibrosis or scar tissue, where extra collagen gets laid down in the fiber part of the matrix. Densification is happening in the ground substance. So what triggers densification? Several things. Lack of movement is one factor, but so is inflammation, injury, and even repetitive stress or overuse.
Bottom line, it's a disruption in the relationship between hyaluronin and water. The hyaluronin molecules aggregate, sticking to each other instead of water. The loose connective tissue gets stickier, glide is compromised, movement becomes restricted. And this is when people start feeling pain and stiffness.
Which begs the next question. What makes hyaluronin less viscous? Well, interestingly, it's the same things that make it more viscous. Temperature, pH, mechanical stress. But in this case, the temperature is heat, makes it more liquid, as opposed to cold, which can make it stiffer. pH, just a normal balanced pH is what's going to work better than something that's out of balance. Mechanical stress, movement, and massage. This is really good news. The change in hyaluronan viscosity is not permanent, and we can change it with really simple tools. This helps explain why when you wake up stiff in the morning, a hot shower or a brisk walk or a back rub helps take away that stiffness. These inputs are changing the viscosity of the hyaluronan. They are changing the relationship of the hyaluronan molecule and water.
Yeah, this is really good news because researchers are speculating that densification, if it is not addressed, could eventually actually turn into something more permanent, including fibrosis. So early intervention is pretty key.
Well, that was a lot. We've looked at where water is in the body and how it's organized there. And we've really explored this different aspect of hydration, which is not just about how much water we drink, but how that water is organized in the extracellular matrix at the molecular level. Turns out, when it comes to tissue hydration, ground substance is where the party's at. That 3 gallons of water, more or less, is dancing with the hyaluronan, creating gels that let your tissues slide and glide.
And our massage strokes might be providing the mechanical input to change that molecular relationship, how water and hyaluronan associate with each other. It's like warming up that jar of honey, helping restore fluidity to tissues that have gotten thick and sticky. So the next time you hand someone that little cup of water, you're right, hydration matters. And now you know it's not just about quantity of water, it's about where it is and how it's organized. And our hands are making an impact.
If you want to know more about the hyaluronan water story, come join us in the Dissection Lab. It's a significant part of our journey into the matrix. Early bird registration is open until April 15th for fall of 2026 workshops. Just go to AnatomySCAPES.com/workshops.
And for even more on the role hyaluronan might play in low back pain, check out one of our online courses, Understanding Fascia's Role in Low Back Pain, in the ABMP CE library. If you'd like to share your thoughts with us about this episode, please email us at info@AnatomySCAPES.com.
Nicole and I would love to hear from you. That's all for now. I'm Rachelle Clauson.
And I'm Nicole Trombley. Thank you for listening.
Precision Neuromuscular Therapy has been teaching high-quality seminars for over 20 years across the country. Founded by Doug Nelson, PNMT uses problem-solving skills and precise treatment options to get powerful results for your clients. PNMT seminars focus on honing your assessment and palpation skills to precisely target the source of your client's pain while understanding the why behind the what. Meet us in a hands-on seminar or online in the PNMT portal and let us join you on your learning journey. Learn more at pnmt.org.